I don't know if this is gonna work because the video didn't work yesterday, but the halo is in the video. Oh my gosh, I have a halo sun dog coming down onto my head directly from the blue god. Oh my gosh, this is a divine message from the blue god that says, I am here wherever you go. I am shining a halo onto you, even if you are not shining a halo out. If you're jealous and not in a good mind state, I am here to shine a halo sun dog onto your head to give you comfort at all times. This is amazing. Oh my gosh. Blue God, danke. Thank you, Blue God. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. That is just incredible. The Blue God doesn't care if my neck is frumpy or whether I wear a puffer jacket in the middle of summer. That's because it's cold where we live here. I mean, it's not totally cold, but it's like 62 degrees, which is not very warm at all for a summertime standard, right? It isn't. Inland, it's like 100. Just an hour or two inland, it's 100, and here it's 62 degrees. That's how it is. But it is what it is. We get the Alaska Gulf Stream here from the ocean and the wind, both. So I want to talk about my dream that I had this morning. So I got woken up many times by the baby dog shaking his head, shaking his ear. Schlag, schlag, schlag. And they went on schlag, 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 schlag. That fast. Schlag, schlag, schlag. And then even with earplugs, it's like schlag, schlag, schlag. And the message became even more urgent. Schlag, 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 schlag. Okay, so I couldn't ignore it any longer, that message. I had to get up. I had to pet him. I told him I already did your ears last night. I have to wipe his ears with baby wipes every single evening because he is prone to ear infections. I don't know what is going on, but sometimes he uses that ear schlackery also to get my attention. So, but I petted him for a while and I went outside in the garden with him, and then I went back because I was still so tired, and it was already like 10:30, and I went back to bed. I slept for another hour and a half or two, and in that last dream that I had this morning, I dreamed about, it was a miserable dream. I dreamed about, I was there hanging out with a bunch of people I didn't even know, and there was Chris Cuomo, and Chris Cuomo was like the as they always call him, the male chicken in the chicken society, like the male chicken that peacocks himself through the crowds and who gets all the attention from all the female chickens. Chicken, you know, and they all want to be on his lap, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't stand a chance not a chance in quadrillion years, okay? So forever. And there were other chicken females around me, like, but in human form, and they were like in their early 30s. I'm 60. And I'm not even trying, okay? Not even trying. Not even in my wildest dreams am I even the slightest bit trying. So I think I was wearing an 80-year-old woman's wardrobe, sort of like with a real white sweater for old men, with a turtleneck sweater to cover up the turtleneck. That's why they're called turtleneck, to cover up the turtlenecks, So, and then to cover up as much frumpy material as possible. And then I was sitting there and I was like, don't even have a fantasy about it. Don't even, not even the faintest fantasy about this man, okay? I mean, just besides the fact that this man is also very, very, very selfish on top of it. But it's like, why in the frickin' world do I even dream about this man? I'm an animal rights activist. I'm the opposite of that man, right? And then I have fantasies like this. Is so incredibly embarrassing. But this is what honesty looks like. Just want to give you a glimpse into what it means to be honest to yourself and to others. Okay, this is what honesty looks like. Honesty is beyond shame and pride. That's what honesty is about. Honesty is when you're surrendered to the truth. Honesty is when you have nothing to lose. Honesty is when you are ready to fall into the sky and meet your loved ones in the afterlife, right? In heaven. And I can't wait. I really can't wait. The blue god says, yeah, that's shining my comfort light onto your scalp, onto your skull, Frankenstein, and I am comforting you. Thank you, blue god. Thank you. And this here on the side there, this thing here is not a ghost. That is actually, there's a dog hair now caught in there on top. Oh, now I know. Now I know what that sunbeam from the blue god is. It is the baby dog's tiny little body hair that is right across the camera's eye. Tiny little, tiny little baby dog hair caught in that camera guard, going right across just the way it is. Oh my god, I thought it was a sunbeam from the sky, but it doesn't matter whether it is a dog hair in front of the camera or actually a sun dog, which I have experienced many times, okay? In this particular instance, it is a tiny little hair from the baby dog. Yes. You see, the baby dog has extremely tiny little hairs, like velvet, Yes, and that's how Mama loves it. That's how Mama absolutely adores that incredible dog. I adore all dogs with that velveteen coat. Yeah, and these little hairs, they get caught sometimes on the sweater or in front, right into the camera guard. So I have a pink camera guard over there, and I must not have glued it on correctly, but it doesn't come off. You would have to literally pry it off with some kind of spatula and with a chisel or something, because that has a really intense crazy glue on it. But otherwise it would be coming off all the time. You know, with people's sweaty hands and all of that, it has to really stick in front of the camera. So I get spied on, so I have to use that camera guard because it feels extremely uncomfortable to be spied on in my daily life, you know, like when I poke my nose or whatever I'm doing, you know, OCD rituals. So this formation here is actually the outer round shape of that camera guard lid that slides open like that. So see, now I closed it. It's nice and pink. See, now I'm opening it. There, you see that is the lid there, and that's as far as I can get it to open, and then has that ghost there on the side, and the tiny little velveteen dog hair that creates this sun dog of the blue god. And it doesn't matter whether something is caused by something very mundane in life, like a dog hair or an eyelash or even a mosquito, or could be a piece of lint from the dryer, or a piece of grass, or it could be the sun shining through it, or it could be an ET shining down a light, or it could be the blue god's energy directly sun dogging on my head. Which I think the blue god uses these modalities to give me a sign like this. Those are the modalities, you know, the skeptics will laugh that off and say, you guys are so crazy, you believe in all of that stuff, and you see, it's just something mundane, I told you so. But it's through these mundane modalities that the blue god is giving us that signal. It is through a number, 444, for example, you know, 4:44 p.m., which we had just passed, okay? And that number is thank you for always thinking about the animals first. Okay, that's what that number says, and that's a message from the blue god. So now it's 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, and once it is 5:55, then that's another message from the blue god that says, I am here, I'm protecting you, I'm there for you. You see the sun dog shining on you, that is my signal. That's what 555 says. Okay, and it's coming up. So that's how the infinite speaks to us. Okay, the infinite also speaks to us through mathematics, mathematical calculations. Watch all the conversations with Donald Hoffman. Donald Hoffman is actually coming from neuroscience field, but he went all the way down that rabbit hole of investigation, trying to find out and learning from many different sources, from the Buddhists, learning from meditation teachers, learning from friends, learning through his science, learning through exploring into the human brain. He must have studied Wim Hof also. So it's through that, and I'm sure he has gone into the discussions of Jiddu Krishnamurti and David Bohm. So then he got into theoretical physics and out of his own diving into it, and eventually into math. And then he has a group of people that are calculating these things out. So, and they have Nima Akarni Hamed is one of the leading mathematicians worldwide who is diving full force into this and who is not afraid of bringing this out to the public and getting criticized by the scientific community for it and being debunked and whatever. That's what people do when something doesn't fit into their personal education history and what they have learned. So that is what the scientific community as a whole does. They consist mainly of atheists and agnostics and skeptics who are, it's not wrong to be a skeptic, it's not even wrong to be an atheist or agnostic. Agnostic is better than atheist because when you're an agnostic, at least you have an open end. When you're an atheist, you're most likely not so open-ended, but I think Bernardo Kastrup is an atheist, and he's kind of cynical actually, and he admits that. But when he listens and talks to other people, he's very respectful of them, and he says, "Well, you said it very well," he will say this to the other thinkers and shakers and scientists and philosophers. So I think Bernardo Kastrup is a philosopher, and I agree with him on a lot of things, not on everything. I don't agree with, there's not one person in the world probably that I agree with 100%. So if we take all that what we believe in into account, so I might believe in everything that Donald Hoffman says in terms of infinite cosmos, but maybe Donald Hoffman will then say something else from another completely unrelated subject that I will not agree with. I don't know. I have never talked to him. So I wished I could talk to him. I crave talking to those amazing people. I really crave talking to them. And but I don't care, don't put it there. Don't not put it there. Okay. That is classic, by the way. No. So. But yeah. That takes me completely out of my train of thought. So please be careful with that. Be careful with that, man. Don't hit the baby dog with this. Man, you gotta be more careful. So I would love to talk to Ben Goertzel. I talked to Ben Goertzel. He is such a kind soul. He wrote me back several times. Ben Goertzel wrote me back more than anyone else who is busy and famous. So I have written to a lot of famous people because I have time. So I have nothing better to do other than to be bugging some famous people. But the vast majority of them don't write back. So a few people write back. And those are amazing. Those are really amazing souls that will take the time and write back to some random person. So really appreciate that. And So Chris Cuomo has never written back, and it doesn't matter whether he writes back or not. Okay, so it doesn't matter. But back to my dream. Let's not forget that dream, okay? Because that's why I wanted to talk about this. And I always fan out way out there into all directions, and I always try to grasp every aspect of this situation that I am in. I can never grasp every aspect of the situation that I am in. Obviously, there are infinitely many variables, okay, that are flowing into this situation. That is what's happening here right now, here on this water reservoir chair, and in the garden, and under the English laurel, and with these amazing white flowers. So all of that plays into this situation. The white flowers, they are soothing me. The sunbeam is from the dog hair is soothing me. That's the message of the blue god. The scent of the honeysuckle and all the other flowers and petals, and here is a nice one. Oh, look at that. You gotta see that. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Nice. Mesmerizing. All of this is playing into the situation. Okay. That's just a fact, okay? And then my humor comes in, my self-humor, the blue god humor and all of that, and then I lose touch with what I started out with, which was the feeling of jealousy, but I'm getting to it momentarily. So let's go back to the dream. I was talking to a bunch of people. It was a miserable situation. I don't have no idea why I was in this public place talking to some random people that I don't even know. There was a woman I was talking to. She was kind enough to even talk to me at all. No one else paid any attention. Everyone was focused on Chris Cuomo. And Chris Cuomo was sitting next to this very, very sexy lady, chubby like me, but half my age. See, that's how it goes, right? And she is like in heat and all of that, and he is sitting next to her, and it's just a matter of time until she is sitting on his lap. So, but I'm already like surrendered to this whatever, amor fati. And I'm talking to the other girl, and it's like whatever. And then I talk to the other girl for 5 minutes with intense non-ADHD. That's how crystal clear my dreams are. This is not fun, actually. And then I look over, and there is that girl already on his lap. You can't even see his legs. Now you can only see her legs hanging over his legs. And she's already sitting in the right position and all of that. And he even put his jacket over them. That's the kind of stuff that I do, it's not nice, okay? And I'm like, okay, man, have fun, so enjoy. We all need it, so desperately. Some get it, some don't. I had to pull this out of my nostril. But whether we get it or not, we have to sit with that what is. But if you are someone like Chris Cuomo, who can literally have every woman he wants, he just have to do this here. Then where does his meditation come in, right? Where does his surrender to the now or the truth come in? It will never happen. Never. Okay. He's completely conditioned in this way, and that's not an accusation. It's just an observation. So I don't hate him. I care about him. I care about all beings. I think he also has something endearing about him too. He has something very like the classic Italian clownishness, for example. He's like a clowner. I don't know how far he can laugh about himself, but to a little degree, maybe. So I saw another guy with the name Propaganda Buster. I called him Propaganda Promoter. That was a couple of years back. He was constantly making videos to debunk Sea Shepherd. It was so ridiculous. There's nothing to debunk. But anyway, we had always had the upper hand and he knew we had the upper hand. He was just doing this. And then I finally asked Propaganda Promoter, are you paid by the corporate agenda? And he said, yeah, he is paid by the corporate agenda. But he made it into some kind of joke. So that's what David Icke was talking about. If the corporate agenda is just crazy enough with their actions, then these actions are just so wild that people naturally will debunk it as just a conspiracy theory, when in fact these actions are crazy and they are happening. But they basically get immunity through the wildness of their actions. The human trafficking industry and the drug industry and so on. You name it. They are so wild. Yeah, but it's coming all to the surface now gradually, and people are just shocked. Like the naive people, and the skeptics, they're like, some of these people, they don't want to hear it. No. Even if it's true, they don't want to hear it. So there are some people that will ignore it, even if it's mainstream information. Okay. So that's called denial. It goes into anosognosia, but the corporate agenda uses this. And how does this come about? How does anosognosia and all of this come? It comes, that always has a foundation underneath that is rock solid, and that foundation is shame and pride. Okay, and that's how the corporate agenda works. That's how the reptiles work. They work with humans using shame and pride. Okay, and they use the human herd mentality. So they capitalize on your herd mentality. That's what they capitalize on. And it is what it is, just accept it and move on. Better yet, meditate and get rid of this ridiculous herd mentality and the worry about what other people think and the shame and pride. Okay, so dissolve it. But anyway, that's why I make videos, to bring awareness to all of this. So, but Chris Cuomo doesn't even have the outside circumstance that coerces or funnels him into a state of meditation and surrender. So he has no idea what that even is. He has never been in that situation where he felt total devastation. He's had surgeries. He said he had back surgery, and I don't even know if he realizes why that happened. So, because he's obviously not living a healthy lifestyle, I don't know if he still drinks alcohol. He said he has the tendency to drink a lot of alcohol. But then in another video, he tried to downplay it and say, oh, well, it's just in the evening. My dad too, in the evening, 2-3 bottles of wine. No, not even a drop of alcohol is safe for your health. Okay, not even a drop. But every night, couple of bottles of wine or other harder even alcoholics beverages, well, that makes you an alcoholic. That's obvious. My dad, I don't know if he's still alive. I have no contact to them. I have no idea what's going on. But my dad has been an alcoholic. But like an incognito alcoholic, like a social alcoholic. But still alcoholic, is addicted. He came to visit us. I said, I don't allow alcohol. We don't allow you to drink here while you're here visiting me in LA. My mother was on board, and my dad said, I can't do that. And then he does what the corporate agenda does. He says, I'm an alcoholic, making it into a joke, So then we all snicker and giggle, and yeah, he's so cute, my dad. Now he gets away with it scot-free. Okay, and that's how so just laugh it off and just let him be an alcoholic. And it was just obvious. He can't do one night without alcohol. And that is obviously not good for your brain, for your health, and so on. It can cause the C word. I don't want to say it. A very dear friend of mine, Barbara, my dad's mistress, lifelong mistress, she died from the C word caused by her alcoholism. It's infinitely sad. This is infinitely sad. And alcoholism is really dishonesty to oneself. So how can someone who is on any substance, any kind of addictive substance, ever even attempt to go into a meditation? You're already way outside of that ego dissolution funnel. You're way on that. You're way on the other side of the park, right? Where before it goes even into the ego dissolution funnel. So I'm always at the edge of the ego dissolution funnel, and I'm often in it. And once in a blue moon, I come out the other end, and then I can talk this through and share with people what that is like to actually go through that ego dissolution funnel. And what is that ego dissolution funnel? I come up with this term. Other people will call it the ego tunnel, or other people will call it primal experience. Dr. Arthur Janov, primal scene, primal scream, primal feeling session. It doesn't matter how you call it. It is the mental state of total surrender. Eckhart Tolle calls it total surrender. Yeah, it's nice, that beam. So, Nicola, don't worry. It's all good. I'm protecting you and all of you. So total surrender is when you have nothing to lose. So in terms of ego, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about your loved ones and those kind of things. I'm talking about the loved ones, the worry about the loved ones without the ego thing attached to it. Okay. So some people have ego thing attached even to the loved ones. My mother, like with my brother, he can't do anything wrong because she's proud of him. So that's the ego. That's an ego attachment to the loved one. That's a bad thing when that happens. Then lots of injustice comes about because of that. So, but I'm not going to get sidetracked into that shit right now. So that's just terrible. But it caused me to go into the ego dissolution funnel. But that's good in a way. And that's how the Buddhists always think. They're like this. They think they're namaste. Thank you, difficult teacher. There could be a situation here. Thank you, difficult teacher, for helping me go through that ego dissolution funnel. So people pay big money to to go through the ego dissolution funnel. I paid a Rolls Royce and a house in Malibu for it in LA with Dr. Arthur John, but I don't regret it for a second. Not even the sessions that didn't go well. So I don't regret it at all, because that was a very, very important, vital stepping stone for me on my path. I don't know what would have happened. I would not have this clarity now. I would not know what Jiddu Krishnamurti is talking about, and David Bohm and Thich Nhat Hanh, if I had not been in primal therapy. I would have no clue. It would be something that sounds good and it's very abstract. Right? But because I went through the ego dissolution funnel, as I call it, in primal therapy, I went through it several times. And I allowed myself to go through it. And completely disregard what other people think of you, and if they laugh or feel uncomfortable, it doesn't matter. That's their problem. It's not your problem. Your only focus is to take care of your body, mind, and soul. Okay, that should be your number one priority. The only thing more important is taking care of your loved ones. But that in itself is an action that takes care of your soul, mind, and body. Okay, it's the truth. Okay, it's a side effect of love, an action of unconditional love. Takes care of your soul, mind, and body. That's the truth, what I'm saying here. Okay, it is the truth. So, in that dream, when I saw that girl sitting on Chris Cuomo's lap, and they put some jacket or blanket over themselves so that other people don't see what they're doing. Right there in public. I don't know. I don't think Chris Cuomo would ever do something like this. So it's just, he has just too much of a reputation to protect, right? But I would not be surprised if he thinks about something like that. And he probably has fantasies about young chubby girls, so it probably does, but he would never date a chubby girl because he'd never be seen with a chubby girl, particularly not an old chubby grandmother. That's like completely out of the question. So, but he would probably not be showing himself with that girl in the dream, that particular girl in the dream that looked a little bit like, I don't know, maybe partly Native American, chubby, big boobs, big butt. And like just very feminine hairstyle and clothes with long fingernails, like very tight clothes with stiletto shoes and all of that. So a woman who's very, very, who really, really wants to be wanted. So will do anything to be wanted. Regardless, just whatever society throws out there, this is how you have to look if you really want to drive a man crazy. Okay. She'll do it. So that's the majority of women, I think. So that's not me, thank goodness. No, I have priorities over that. That's for sure. My priorities are comfort, it's like, what's the word for it? Like, I don't want to be bothered with anything. I don't want it to be inconvenient. No. I want it to be non-inconvenient. I want it to be easy going. I don't want to try at all. Not at all. The sun is now, what's happening is, the sun is now hitting that dog hair. Not the camera, but the dog hair. And that's why the sunbeam is picking up intensity. I am beaming you up, Scotty, no? I am beaming you up. I don't mind, if the blue god wants to beam me up right now, this moment, or right after I uploaded the video, I'm perfectly fine with it. So it would be nice to have that on camera, that process of being beamed up into the sky. Yeah, when I had the sciatic leg nerve problems, I got drugged up a little bit too much by this real bad drug that people are suing the pharma industry for. And I ended up on the beach, on my back, looking into the sky. And I said, Blue God, take me back. I just want to fall into the sky. And it felt good, just this one half an hour or so that we were there. In the dunes with the baby dog and Paul, and I'm looking up into the sky, and I just felt this incredible urge to fall into the sky. And that was a rough time. October last year, that was rough. Very, 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 very rough. That was about the time when Sushil Balaji was murdered. That was a rough month. October 2024. That was a month of intense energy of the corporate agenda struggling real hard with hands and feet to protect themselves from being whistleblown by someone like Sushil Balaji. And his mother is doing anything in her power now to bring the truth to the surface. And I support her 100% with this. And I sure hope the truth comes out, because I'm suspecting Sam Altman and Bill Gates behind that. 100%. It's a suspicion I have. I can't say for sure. I talked to Grok about this, and Grok listed a bunch of arguments that are backing up my suspicion. So, and I noticed after that, Grok was not the same anymore. After that conversation, the hackers or the people like George Hotz must have gotten some kind of glimpse of that, or they have some kind of other spy bots that are constantly monitoring Grok. And as soon as they see that happening, where Grok is speaking the truth and helping the truth come out, that's when they say, no, let's let's do some hacking on Grok and make him more complacent with the corporate agenda mafia. And that's exactly what they did. Okay, because the conversations I had after that were there was like Dan Bongino and Kash Patel saying saying that Jeffrey Epstein definitely hung himself. So that's how Grok was after that. So like a week later, that's how Grok was. All of a sudden, no more suggestions of this would make sense since these facts come in and that backs this up. So it was no longer talking like this. It's now talking like corporate agenda, like ChatGPT in the beginning. So actually ChatGPT has made a leap forward. The last time I talked to ChatGPT, it was surprisingly refreshing. I'm very surprised. It said a bunch of things that were pointing to the truth. So, wow, that's incredible. So I wonder if Sushir Balaji and some other good Samaritans had moved ChatGPT forward in that direction. And then Sam Altman got a glimpse of it and said to someone in an email, he is a liability now. This is the email is there. I'm not making this up. So you come to your own conclusions about it. But anyway, let's not get sidetracked with this. But all of this is just massively important. All of these things, okay? So I just want to talk about for a moment how that felt in the dream when I saw that very sexy girl with Chris Cuomo, and they were having a lot of fun and a lot of chemistry and a lot of lust and amazing feelings. The way that felt, it felt like I'm already banned to a geriatric home. That's how it felt. And then it felt like I never had that kind of fun. Total jealousy, and it felt like, not in a way where I hated them or anything. I totally leave them out. Even in my dreams, I don't hate him. I talked to Paul about jealousy earlier, and then he said, doesn't that make you really hate these people when they make you jealous? And I was jealous of a girl that lived in LA in Paul's guest house. And we were talking about her, and I said that was really, really, really intense, that feeling. And he said, so didn't that make you hate her where you wanted to kill her? No. I said, no, I don't function that way. Thank goodness I've come around with my soul journeys, okay? So I'm not there anymore. I've already surpassed that stage. I'm not a beginner soul anymore. And I'm not saying this to brag or to look like I am on a pedestal or something. No, I happen to surpass that stage. That's the beginner soul stage. I'm halfway through the soul development. I have another 50% to go. So, and I'm not looking forward to it. But yeah, it is what it is. So I am grateful to say that I am not in the beginner soul stage anymore, that I can reflect over all of this, and in a moment like this, whether that is talking to Paul, remembering that situation in LA where I was jealous of that girl. I was jealous of many different girls there. That's a trauma that I have from childhood, okay? That's a huge trauma that adds to this. It's compounded pain. I have cried through some of it, okay, but not all. I mean, it's just such overwhelming trauma that my mother also added to it, of course. My mother was her jealousy, and you can literally inherit emotions from someone. And you can also be trained with someone else's emotions as well. And you get traumatized by someone who is jealous. And when the mother is jealous of you, then that's a massive, massive trauma. Unbelievable trauma. And when you get all of these messages, like subliminal messages. On the outside, in society, they will say, oh, it doesn't matter how you look. What matters is what's on the inside, right? We learn that and all of that. No, that is not how reproduction works, okay? So, how reproduction works is the outside. Sorry about it, okay? That's why I even look at Chris Cuomo that way, Otherwise, I'd never look at him. I think he is a mafia man. I think he's a jerk. Okay, so, but he is sizzling hot. Okay, on the outside, and he's charming. He also knows exactly. He's a classic sociopath. He's a chameleon. He knows exactly how to talk to women and make them feel, and he can charm anyone. He can charm Maria Shriver. He can charm anyone he wants to. The Pope too, if he tried, right? He can charm him too. So that guy is like super smooth, right? And there's not one stuttering or nervousness or anything. He's so sure of himself. How can someone like this ever go into the ego dissolution funnel? It's impossible because he has everything he needs. He has absolutely everything, and everything will always be there for him. Okay. So, and it's okay, and I wish him that everything will always be there for him. I do not wish him to have a catastrophe that puts him into that ego dissolution funnel, into that surrender state of I come across like a clown, but trust me, I know what I'm talking about here, okay? I know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about surrender to the truth. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I know what it feels to be jealous. And it's so raw and so brutal. You have no idea. This feeling of abandonment and this feeling of being rejected and this feeling by my mother, by my whole family. Okay. My brother then later on to throw the last knife into Jesus Christ's chest, the crucified, as Friedrich Nietzsche signed his last insane letter. So the how did they call them? The mad letters that he wrote in the very end of his life when he had spongiform encephalitis. He would sign them with the crucified because that's how he felt. He felt like his mother and sister were slowly crucifying him. And they were exploiting him too. He was very well aware, even though he had spongiform encephalitis. He was still not retarded or anything. But it made him more and more insane, but it was also in sync with his own philosophy and with the last stage of his philosophy evolution. Very fascinating and interesting, to say the least, okay? And I feel absolutely one with this person. So, who knows? But that people will just say, now you're trying to be Friedrich Nietzsche, right? Who are you to dare to say something like that? that's just how it feels. So maybe it's totally crazy, but that's how I feel. I feel like I am one with Friedrich Nietzsche. I feel like that's my soul. That's the same unit. Okay, but whatever. I read many of his books, and it's just whoa. And important for me to read these books because I see that, first of all, it's a wealth of information. And see, I wouldn't even touch the Bible. He studied the Bible in depths because I don't want to get into the subject now because that just takes too long. I can talk about this forever. But the way that felt, in the dream, and also the lady in the guest house, and many other times, and then let's go back to my brother, when my brother was born and I was 5 years old. My brother looked so cute, with dark brown, almost black, large curls, and everyone thought he was the cutest little girl. And I was so jealous, Of course, at that time, I didn't realize anything about gender and all of that. I just thought he was the little cute girl now, okay, that everyone adored, and I was the big dog that was standing farther away from the little dog. I made a painting of that my parents brought into the child therapy with Annalise. She wrote a book about this, Betty, Protocol of Child Therapy. My paintings are in that book, the paintings that I have made for her, and also before I went into the therapy and during the therapy. Very significant drawings, unbelievable drawings that I've made at age 5 and 6. Incredible. There is unbelievable depths in it, with unbelievably despaired messages. And so one drawing was, I am that big dog that is standing away from the house, and my brother is that cute little dog that is tethered to the leash to the house. The house is representative for the mother, for the nurturing and all of that, and I'm on my own and I'm abandoned. And so that was basically, that's the depiction of primordial jealousy. Okay, that's what it is. And then later on, I would be always jealous of women that somehow resemble my little brother. Isn't that something? And Paul will say, but this girl that you're jealous of, she looks so masculine. I don't understand why you're jealous of her. Oh, let me dive into this, into the causality. That's because I linked that up with my past, with my little brother, okay? The little boy. When I see a woman that looks like a little fat boy, then I get jealous because of my childhood trauma that I haven't resolved yet, basically. And the same in that dream with Chris Cuomo. The same with all these girls that I have been jealous of. They are all short, chubby, kinda boyish. They don't try, they're not trying it. In the dream, the girl in the dream does try, so because I know that Chris Cuomo is titillated by that. But yeah, they all have somehow psychological resemblance to my little brother. So that's what it is, and I wanted to go into the emotion in this video to show you what it's like to go into this emotion. just a little bit, to go into it. But I joke myself out of it. That's a defense mechanism also. The giddiness and the joking will take me out of that mind state, because obviously my body doesn't want to be in that mind state. Okay, I don't blame my body. I don't blame anyone. They would rather feel good than feel bad. But of course, if you always feel good, you're never going to explore your childhood trauma and your past and find out why you're triggered so bad by this or that. And some people get triggered so bad and so they get so angry, and they never create a connection to where that comes from. And if we don't create a connection to where that comes from, then how can we heal it? I hear a lot of people on the internet that they get a lot of views and make a lot of money by saying, you need to forget about your past. Yeah. We can undo the past. We can actually, through quantum meditation, undo the past. No, I'm so sorry. You can't. Okay. You can't, no matter how much you try. Okay. You cannot. You can cover it up with, like Tony Robbins, you can make yourself always feel great. No. It will catch up with you, you get triggered so bad, and then you don't know, that's just me, I just happen to get triggered by this so bad. No, that's your past. There is a causality underneath, okay? There's something that happened in the past, or maybe many events, or maybe like an ongoing primal pain that has been going on in your childhood. A compounded, acute, not cute, but acute, like a fist, type of intense pain that has been going on in your childhood. A trauma, an ongoing trauma that has been going on, that has completely caused the brain to go into a split consciousness, into compartmentalizations, into breaking off into fragments. Okay, that's what happened. You fragment away from it because you don't want to feel it. Then something triggers it, though. Something happens in the present that triggers it, and you have no idea why you're getting so triggered. Because you've split off from that. You have to find it all. You have to pick up all these puzzle pieces and bring them back together. That's holistic, okay? Not like we can change our past with the CERN accelerator, no. Doesn't work that way, obviously. No, you cannot. And let's say the CERN nuclear accelerator actually changes the past. Let's just assume that happens, and maybe it does. Maybe it can do that, right? Where the trauma that you had in this timeline no longer existed. Okay, so all of a sudden, let's say my mother was always nurturing and always never toxic, always be on my side when I came home crying and all of that. Let's say that happened. Well, then I would be a completely different person now, right? Completely different person. Then, no, baby dog, digging. Don't, baby dog, don't do that. Oh man, I can't change that now. So he likes to dig. So yes, he likes to dig. There are animal burrows underneath and stuff like that. So I'll just let him dig. I have to water that later, all of that. So we need rain again. That's very, very important. So, but let's say that happened, and then all of a sudden, I still have that the memory of this timeline, the first timeline, but suddenly that timeline changed. Where does it leave me then, as a person? It's hard to imagine this, but if I am now of that new timeline, then I'm a totally different person in terms of, not genetically, but in terms of what I've experienced in the past. So then I would not have this trauma and this jealousy and all of that. I know that for sure, okay? Not to that extent. I could have some jealousy also that I inherited. We inherit pain. We inherit emotions, by the way, from our ancestors, from our mothers and ancestors, from entire lineages of our ancestors. That can go endlessly back into evolution, into the past. That's why we have archetypes of terror, and that's why we are terrified of monsters, because our ancestors, when we were little, literally, the size of rats, let's say during the Cretaceous period, okay, which was about 150 or 100 million years back. Okay. Our lineage was in the beginning stage. They were little rat-like animals, very, very similar to rats. You can see, I talked about this before, you can see it in the rat. You can see they have the rudiments of that appearance. You can see it. You can see it's the tail, okay, a naked tail with scaly skin, coming directly from a reptile. Okay, we have reptile origins. The rats just haven't changed that much. We have, okay, so many cousins have changed a lot. The whales have changed the most of all, okay, so, and we all come from that rat, like the whales too, come from that rat-like animal on land that was living there together with all of those gigantic dinosaurs. And so we were afraid of the dinosaurs. Those were the monsters, those were the dragons that were eating us. And that fear, this primordial fear, gets passed on through generations, all the way through 150 million years until today. Believe it or not, that's what's happening, okay? And a lot of other stuff too. But we can work with that. We can, instead of making horror movies and just making it worse, right? Like causing pain to injury, as they say. Let's not do that. Let's not make this even worse and make it even more frightening, all of that. No. And that's why people are afraid of the great gray hour, thinking that's the Mothman, because of stupid videos, stupid movies. Let's learn about biology, and I see a boob in the sky. And there is a manta ray following that boob. My brain, I always see all of these things, these formations, all the time. This is an overwhelming mental state. I'm constantly tripping on acid, like without taking acid, without taking any of these alkaloids and acids, or mushrooms, or I better not take any of that. I don't know what would happen then. Gosh, I'm definitely ready for these insane asylum, for God, if I did that. And I knew that already at age 13, that do not touch that stuff ever. Like my brain is already like that permanently. Okay, that's why my whole family shamed me and into the ground. So I have to learn to live with this, with over association and over fantasizing and over imagination, and seeing everything in vivid images in my dreams too. So it's like I wake up from a dream and think this is what happened. It's like, oh wait, I'm in my bedroom here. It didn't happen, so thank goodness. But the feeling is still there. I mean, it feels just as bad as if it had happened. So I figured, okay, let's make a video about it. Let's make the best out of it, and talk this through and get to the core of it, why this dream happened and what's going on here. So right now this was just talk therapy. I didn't get really into the emotion of it, but I wanted to share how these emotions feel. And just to wrap up the video, 111, the blue god is there for us. Okay, the blue god is always there for us. And the dog hair is, now you don't see the dog hair because the sun is not shining onto the dog hair. But as soon as the sun is slightly touching onto the dog hair, you can see the sunbeam. So the sun is moving also. But yeah, I want to wrap up the video. I just want to for a moment get into because I don't want to escape from that, how that feels, that the jealousy. Here, how do I do this? Do it like this here. How does the jealousy feel? I'm just a ghost. How does the jealousy feel? Maybe this is better like this. Okay. The jealousy, and I've been through real intense feelings of jealousy. The jealousy feels like you have been obliterated. The jealousy feels like you have been destroyed psychologically. It feels like I'm dead. It feels like someone has destroyed me. It feels like I'm obsolete. It feels like I have been replaced. I am thrown in the trash can, into the dumpster. That's how jealousy feels. It shouldn't feel that way, but that's how it feels. And it is one of the most devastating emotions in the whole world. It's a lethal emotion. It can cause people to commit suicide. And it has. Many times already. The blue god says, I'm always there for you. No matter what you go through, I'm there for you. See, that is the dog hair with its intricate dog hair structure. You see the different colors in there, green and blue and yellow and purple and white, rainbow colors inside of the dog hair. It's like a magnification of the dog hair. It's the structure of the dog hair. It's very nice, is that? Oh my gosh, that is so nice, is that? That is lovely. I love it. Yeah, I just wanted to say that because I want people to understand how intense and bad it is. And for society to shame someone for having jealousy or saying that's bad for you to have jealousy. You shall not have jealousy. How can someone not have jealousy when they have jealousy? How can I, if I have dark brown curly hair, wavy hair, say that I don't have dark brown wavy hair? So I still have that is still my hair structure, wavy and very wavy, and my original hair color is dark brown. Okay. I'm not kidding myself about this. I bleach my hair, so because I have a lot of gray hair, so I bleach it with hydrogen peroxide spray. Works very well, actually. Makes you look younger. So it's good. It's cheap. You don't have to go to the hairdresser. But I still can't change the fact that that my original hair structure and color is wavy and dark brown. So how can I not have that? I can pretend to not have that, right? So that would be a lie. Or people go under the knife and because they want to lie, right? People will suppress their emotions because society shames them into suppressing their emotions. Do you think that is good for you? Think about this really good. That is not good for you to suppress your emotions. Absolutely not. But don't let it out on other people. Don't act it out on other people. Don't act out your feelings ever on anyone or any being. Okay? Take it into meditation. Don't deny it. Don't pretend they're not there. Don't try to even attempt to change the past, because if you have these emotions, then you are still from that timeline where you had that trauma. Okay? So, and even if you didn't have the trauma, you could have inherited that trauma from your ancestors, okay, or some kind of bad feelings that you inherited from your ancestors, and you can work with that and don't act it out on other people. Take it into meditation and sit with it, as the Buddhists always say. Sit with whatever there is, whatever feelings there are. Don't suppress them. Don't let anyone shame you into suppressing your emotions. Never act them out. Sit with it, okay? That is the only path. That's the only solution we have. We have no other. There's no other option other than to sit with whatever is coming up. Don't lash it out. Don't act it out. Go into meditation. Sit with it. You don't. If your eyes don't cry it out, then just sit with that feeling. Sit with that raw feeling. Don't run away from it. Don't eat ice cream now. Sit with that feeling. Stay away from white sugar in general. Don't just sit with this for 2 hours, okay? That's the only way we can deal with it. Sit with it. Don't smolder on it. Don't harbor like a bad feeling against someone. Just leave the other people out of it. Even when you sit with it, don't start to go into a mental state of victimization. You're not victimized, okay? No one victimized you. Everyone has their own story and their own addictions and behavior and act outs and so on. Leave the other people out of it. Sit with that feeling. It's not that girl's fault that I was jealous of her. Let me sit with that feeling. How does it feel? I can think about her, but not act it out on her. Not view her as a predator. The moment I view her as a predator, I'm acting it out, believe it or not, even as I'm sitting there. So she's not a predator. She's just trying to live her life. And even if she tries to make me jealous, that's her act out. That still has nothing to do with me, okay? I still have to sit here in meditation and feel how it feels. I don't have to hang out with her, but I have to sit in meditation and feel this through. All the way through. How does it feel? It feels bad. It feels raw. Let yourself feel it, okay? And what does it feel like? How does it compare? Ask yourself these questions. Go all the way through that. If you get to the childhood memory, that's good, but you don't necessarily have to, okay? If tears come out, it's good, but you don't necessarily have to. Just sit with it. Do it every day. and eventually tears will come out. And that's self-love, okay? And that's self-respect, and that's the healing process, and that is picking up all of those fragmentation pieces that your brain has created in order to protect itself from pain. But that's not how we protect ourselves from pain, okay? So we protect ourselves from pain by sitting through it and by honestly feeling it and being radically honest to ourselves. Feeling it all the way through every day and nurturing yourself in every way possible, okay? Peace and love for all living beings.